Okay, so my dad has pretty much finished taking out his potatoes. As you can see, he's almost finished amending all these beds. This one he's still working on. All the dirt that'll go in it is back down there. This side, this bin is a different type of potato, and since these plants haven't died off yet, we're going to let those go a little bit longer. But the rest he's gotten, we got half of this bin to do. And then we'll have our results, because if you remember from a previous video, we did mounds on this side. And this side we did like we did at my house, where they're all the way at the bottom, and we let them grow up. So we'll see if one was better than the other, or if they were the same. So this is one of the mound totes that we have. So the nice thing about the mounds is that you don't have to dig all the way to the bottom of the tote, and they grow more on a single level versus what you saw from the potatoes at my house, where we did it like the potatoes on this side that we planted all the way at the bottom. So my dad's doing the same thing we showed in the video at my house, just going through a little bit of dirt at a time, finding all the potatoes and pulling them out. Now, if the mounds end up yielding more potatoes or bigger potatoes, and we decide to do mounding next year, we will have to dig down a little deeper, because if you remember from a previous video, we had to fix the irrigation system because as we mounded, the dirt got too close to the irrigation system. So if we end up doing this again, lesson learned for next year. And one thing we didn't run into at my house, but that my dad found a few of, and in all of his bins, it's only been 3 potatoes. But he did dig up a few that had already started rotting or that something had gotten to. So you just want to make sure to check your potatoes as you're pulling them out. And if some look bad, don't put them in with the rest of your potatoes. Also, we found this treasure, some sort of nut, maybe a walnut, that a squirrel buried in one of the bins. And one other thing I want to mention when my dad finishes this up, as he throws potatoes at me, that some plants will have a ton of potatoes on them and some might not have as much. So it's not always consistent as we're going through, finding the different clumps of potatoes. Also, hot tip, best time to pick your potatoes is to wait until the hottest day so that you can sit in direct sunlight and empty all these bins. I'm kidding. Try and pick a cooler day because it's a lot of work and it takes a lot of time. So here are the results of our potato experiment. We have our mounded potatoes and our buried at the bottom of the bin potatoes. So we have more bins that were buried at the bottom, but to keep the experiment fair, we're only using bins that were next to each other. So bin 1 was next to bin 6, 2 next to 7, etc., etc. So everything is the same for all 8 of these bins except for how we planted them. So for our mounds, we had a total of 88 pounds. For the buried at the bottom potatoes, we had 80.5 pounds. Now granted, we do have a little outlier here in bin 8. That was kind of the lowest producing of all of them. The asterisks you see here, so 2 bins for each set, we planted full potatoes, and that was a total of 90.5 pounds. 2 bins for each set, we used cut potatoes, and we got a total of 78 pounds. In total, all of the potatoes, including the extra ones that were buried at the bottoms and the one from my house, we had 215.5 pounds of potatoes. So for 50 pounds planted, we got about 4.31 pounds for each pound planted. And I just want to show you one thing. So this is the kind of our outlier here, the 16.5 pound potato bin. There are some very big potatoes in this bin. So even though this bin overall didn't produce the most weight, there's still some very good sized potatoes. So it's not just because they're small potatoes. This was my dad's bin that did the best. I was the winner chicken dinner because the most we got out of any single bin was my bin with 26 pounds. There you go. There's the results of our potato experiment. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments or email us, and we'll talk to you next time. Bye!